I have turned both runners loose. So game number one will be underway very shortly.
Good luck.
And we're underway. MrEntity versus Skawttie. Winner moves on, loser is out. As Bryce Huff would like to say, survive and advance. Here we go.
All right, both runners have that razor shield. Skattie's kind of staying more center while MrEntity was kind of using that shield at the doors, running into him a little bit more. We'll see which one of these strategies pays off.
Most definitely. And I'll tell you what, it is actually MrEntity with the hole shot. That's a very good Arena 1. Skawttie going to be a few seconds back. It's going to be a 41.5 for MrEntity. Skawttie with a high 44, so already he's 3 seconds back, but it is early on, so here we go.
All right, foot for MrEntity. He's just going to grab that so he can be mobile, grab some other things, but Skawttie gets the opening orb. That's what you want to see.
And MrEntity then gets clubbed down. So already, well, the equal opportunity. We have seen this a lot already tonight.
Yeah, he was able to get that not too late into the room, so it shouldn't be too big of a time penalty for him. And he came in here earlier, so we'll see if he's just to keep his lead. Skawttie gets some rockets there, though, and he can grab that, use that to clean up the end of the room.
Yeah, and those rockets are going to enable Skawttie to take the leader with about a 126. MrEntity, smart bomb, good use to end the room. He's 4 seconds back with a 130.
Yeah, that first drop orb is just instantly you're saving time. And I mean, that room is so drop dependent if you want to get the top times in it.
I tell you what, it was a good recovery with MrEntity after getting clubbed down. Used the invulnerability, gave him an orb, and he was able to finish off the room very nicely with that smart bomb. But as long as he's able to keep the room under control, get the shrapnels, they're starting to get out of control, But here's the rocket. This will give him an opportunity as long as he keeps that orb. Skawttie just about done with this room. He's got 1 left to go, and it's a 208. MrEntity, that purple shirt was evading him.
He was all over the place. He went from the bottom corner, did a full circle all the way around, but managed to keep that orb and get out of there at about 219.
So he actually did lose some time. A little rockets. Oh, and that's what happens when you move around. But again, the game's going to give him an orb if he can get to it. But look at these spawns. Oh, just not able to keep it clean.
And he just wasn't able to keep that area clean to the top left, top right corner of you. Everything spawns at like that 2 o'clock location. So when you're trying to grab that orb, you want to kind of clear that spot out before you grab it.
Meanwhile, Skawttie losing his orb, and the game gives him another replacement. Let's see if he can keep this one. Ooh, grenades on the feet for Skawttie. Doesn't like to see that, but I guess when you don't have an orb, it could be worse. Rockets, though, for Skawttie, and again, Entity drops an orb. Rockets, though, for Entity, a spreader for Skawttie. So right now, this is, again, a battle of attrition, it seems, at this point. Weapons, good for MrEntity. Now a replacement orb for Skawttie, and this should be the end of the room. It will be the end of the room. Skawttie will take the lead with a 327. MrEntity has a razor shield. That swirl should be coming soon. There it is. All I had to do is talk about it, and the situation presents itself.
Yeah, so, you don't like to see that swirl. You've been in the room too long when that guy comes around.
Now, he's not all that far behind. He's about 13 seconds behind, but the advantage here is that Skawttie has an orb. However, he does not have any kind of weapon. MrEntity has just a little bit of spreader left, which is really not going to do enough to take down one of the gunners. He'd like to see a rocket, and Skawttie drops the orb right before he picked up the smart bomb, and then gets shot.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He was trying to clear out the room with that bomb, lost the orb, and then just gunner got him.
So Entity maybe with a chance here if he can get some rockets here, but he gets an orb instead, which is fine, but can he keep it? He can't.
Meanwhile, Skattie's got rockets at center here. He's going to just use those as long as he can, hopefully get something else, because, once you start running out, these guys will start to crowd you at center. Gets a spreader, so that'll keep it good for him. And
Yeah, Entity ended up getting clubbed down, used the invulnerability to take down the last gunner, but now rockets for Skawttie and a razor shield to go with it. So drops favoring Skawttie, and he's going to be first into Mutoid Man with a 449. Entity is going to find himself quite a ways back if he doesn't get any weapons, and he's not getting weapons. And that's what this room tends to do. It doesn't like to give you weapons, especially late.
Yeah, Skawttie just also got these great weapons dropped right on his feet. If you have to go fishing for him, it becomes a struggle to get back to center. But he gets a spreader right now. Let's see if he can capitalize on it.
He should be able to get at least one form, but that swirl is still there. He does finally take it down with the spreader, decides to abandon ship late, and is going to go ahead and plop with the lobber. I can talk. An orb, another orb, and he loses another one. This might be a record, folks, for the most orbs in one match. I have no idea what it is, but it's a lot.
And Tank Trouble is just having its way with MrEntity. They're just breaking the lead out, and Skattie's got 2 arms off before Entity's even in the room.
Now, the good news is that he does have a full complement of rockets, so he should be able to take down the gunners. He's not dead yet. If he can get a spreader drop after he plops these 2 gunners down, he is back in it. However, it's now the rib cage for Skawttie using those lobbers to his use. Going to ignore the grenades as the lobbers do much more damage. Now he's looking for that spreader to finish this off, but it's an empty drop. If MrEntity can get a spreader, he can put himself, but instead it's a lobber. Again, consistent damage, but at this point he needs a spreader to catch up.
Well, he got that spreader, but he picked it up before he hit the mine and just didn't get to use it.
Oh, that's too bad. I mean, here's the problem. He gets a spreader, but unfortunately the invulnerability isn't running. He's going to try and get some manual in. Got a little bit, but now he's going kind of safe here. Penultimate form for Skawttie here as the second arm pops off for Entity. He needs another spreader. He gets another spreader, but he, instead of taking the death, and he gets run over, but he gets another spreader. One. He'll be able to get this one and do some kind of damage, but Skattie's on the final form, but there's a key. And if he can find an invulnerability, instead it's going to be grenades, and then he gets run over. He's not going to get
Skattie's just getting empty drops, though. The game does not want to give him weapons. They're trying to make this happen if it can.
Absolutely, but Entity still needs another spreader to have a chance. Skawttie gets a spreader, which is what you don't want to see on the final form. It does the least amount of damage. Vulnerability, though, for MrEntity. This should do it for Skawttie. Another empty drop.
Yeah, with all the empty drops Skattie's been getting, I'd welcome those spreaders.
Oh, and MrEntity tried to do a manual, and he gets run over. And there goes Mutoid Man. Skawttie is going to win game number 1. You know, Entity had some chances there, but just couldn't quite capitalize with those spreaders, CHX.
Yeah, the game gave him a couple chances. The first one, he grabbed it too soon. The second one, he was already invulnerable and couldn't really utilize it fully. And I mean, Skawttie got like a handful of empty drops after that. So, I mean, the game tried to like swing the favor, but it couldn't do it.
Not quite. One more weapon. This weapon should do it for MrEntity. And it will. So he's going to be about 30 seconds back. That's definitely a lot closer than I expected it to be. But yeah, Skattie's not going to be happy with that 7:47 time, but he'll take it any way he can get. 8:19 for MrEntity. I have no idea what his PB is, but it can't be what's on speedrun.com. There's no way.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I'm not sure what his time is as of now.
MrEntity's actually informed me he actually has a sub 7 in this game, which, considering, you know, his time in that one, to me makes sense. He's telling me that it probably wasn't recorded. Well, I'll tell you what, if he gets 6-4x sometime tonight, we've got record of it, so I guess we can root for that. But in any event, it is Skawttie taking home game number 1.
All right, the runners are getting the countdown, and we're going to be taking off here shortly.
No question about it. I was telling MrEntity before the race that if he does get a 6.4x, we'll post that to speedrun because we'll have video evidence of it. So let's see if that happens. Game number 2, we'll get them synced in just a moment here. Between Skawttie and MrEntity, Skawttie up 1-0.
All right, both runners grabbed that razor shield. MrEntity's was lower for some reason, but it's okay. You both get it. You can use it. Take care of this room and see what happens.
Absolutely here. All right, so it is going to be MrEntity by just a little bit on Skawttie. We're talking about half a second or so. 41 versus, call it 2/3 of a second. It's about a 41 2/3 on Skattie's side, but that really doesn't mean much here. These drops are going to mean a lot for both of these runners. Let's see what we get. Rockets, great start for MrEntity, but a better start, and he immediately loses the orb.
But the game gives him another one. That's ridiculous. You get one, you drop one, you get another in the first room, and then followed by a razor shield. The game wants Skawttie to have everything.
I'll say RNG favoring the favorites early on is MrEntity. Now he gets a razor shield, but yeah, that orb is going to be most important there for Skawttie. I've never seen so many orbs this early on. Rockets, though, for MrEntity could finish out the room for him, as Skawttie is going to take the lead with a 126, but that's a short lead. A low 129, let's call it 2.5 seconds.
So Skawttie had that spreader, so he was able to kill all the guys around, but like kind of took a little bit of time getting the shrapnels. I don't know if that's going to cost him. I think I saw a 4 there for a minute.
Now, MrEntity decided to use the smart bomb there because a lot of things were happening between that swirl and those shrapnels. So even though he's going to lose a little bit, I don't fault him for that play. The longer he goes without that orb, worse off he's going to be, as Skattie's already got the foot soldiers down. So MrEntity grabbing anything he can get his hands on to force that orb.
I mean, that's the right play on this move. If you don't have that orb, you want to grab every pickup you can except the smart bombs. You want to, even if you have rockets, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to make an orb spawn before you get out of this room so you have it. And in the next room, you're not losing time.
2:21 for MrEntity. He's now 9 seconds back, and he's orbless, which you do not like to see here. And look at the rich getting richer. Skawttie picking up that razor shield and vulnerability for MrEntity. And this is just one of those situations, we see it a lot, where if you don't come in with an orb, the game decides, well, there's an orb for MrEntity, but can he keep it is the question. He's in a good location now. Watch out for that shrapnel. Now he's got a spreader. He can take control of that middle.
Yeah, he did a good job clearing those guys out, waiting, being patient, then picking up the orb when the when everything was clear.
Oh, close call there for Entity. Just dodged the purple shirt and used the orb to block the shrapnel.
Now he's getting more rockets. MrEntity's got razor shield at center. They both got orbs, so Skattie's going to come out of here ahead. MrEntity's, if he can hold on to this, isn't going to lose too much time.
Yeah, 3:13 for Skawttie. Yeah, MrEntity, if you can hold that middle, finish off this room, don't lose that orb. But the drops have dried up on MrEntity. But nonetheless, this is the end of the room, so he is going to have the orb intact. No weapon for either player. 3:28, so it's a 15-second lead for Skawttie as we have a quick Taco Bell placement with Taco Bell.
All right, the drops have been good for Skawttie. Let's see what this room wants to give him. A dude.
Dude! We haven't mentioned the dude all day. That's the 1-up, which of course can prevent it continue, because if you lose all your lives, you're losing about 4 or 5 seconds there. Boy, that was a close call on the shrapnel there. MrEntity can get a rocket. That would really help him out. And he gets one! But then gets picked off! Oh, what a disappointment.
Skawttie was forced into the corner for a while. He's forced into this corner, but he's hanging on to that orb. So he's a little bit slower, but as long as you can hold that orb, you're not going to lose. Oh, well, as I say it.
Yep, you spoke too soon. Well, here's an orb for Entity, and he'll be able to get that. Now he's going to try
and an orb for Skawttie at the same time.
Oh, and MrEntity runs into the mine right after he ran into that smart bomb. I'm telling you, whenever there's a drop there, it's a trap, CHX. I'm telling you.
All right, we got some rockets here for Skawttie. Let's see if he can get them and hold on to the center and clean up the room with them, and he does.
So Skottie's going to have the lead with a 446, maybe a high 445. MrEntity is going to be probably double digits back, 20, 30 seconds. Needs a rocket here. Gets an invulnerability again. It's fine when you don't have an orb. And again, Mutoid Man doing Mutoid Man things, and MrEntity is not that far back. He's only about 22, 23 seconds back, and Skawttie just now getting a weapon. So this is a game.
Yeah, I mean it's about one good spreader drop difference in a swing here.
I don't know if that was a spreader or a rocket, but whatever it was, Skawttie couldn't get to it.
MrEntity gets a spreader though, gets a little bit of it in before he backs off.
Yeah, kind of tough to do when you have those gunners still attached, and MrEntity doesn't really get enough damage as the arm is going to pop up first, you would think, there it is for Skawttie. Good drop there for Entity. He can use these rockets to take out the gunners. Now he's looking for spreaders.
Yeah, that'll make it a lot easier for him to get around and get these drops now.
Rockets for Skawttie now as he's less than a form ahead as the second arm now pops off. Rockets for Entity. Not really great drops for either player here. Who's going to get the advantageous spreader? More rockets for Skawttie. And then he gets electrocuted after picking them up. Oh no! But does get a lobber to replace it.
This will give MrEntity a chance to catch up. No, there's a spreader for Skawttie, but he just goes and grabs it.
He's going to have to go for manual. I saw that he's gotten some damage in. He's got a few manuals in there to take the lead.
Yeah, they followed it up with some lobbers, so he's probably about a form and a half ahead, maybe about 2 forms now because he's on to final.
Yep, penultimate form. There's a spreader for Entity. Recognized it just a little bit too late. Now he's going to try and get some manual and got a few shots in.
Look at this spreader for Skawttie, though.
Oh,
It's right by the door. He's going to get the transfer
match.
damage. This is it.
This is going to be game, set, and match. I don't think he got as much transfer damage as he would have liked to, but he did. Never mind. What do I know? It's a win for Skawttie.
I mean, when you get it right there at the door like that, you're going to take him down every time.
Amazing. 7:05 for Skawttie. Definitely a big improvement after that last one. A long way to go for MrEntity. He will be able to get that spreader. Now he'll be able to try and get a manual in final form. And he's going to get some transfer damage in. Rockets should finish him off, you would think. And it does. So again, yeah, that was a gift right there. You're absolutely right. If Skawttie doesn't get that spreader, I don't think he wins.
I mean, when you get the transfer damage into that last form, it's the difference of, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, could be even more if you do it right and you don't get weapons after.
Yeah, I was just informing Skawttie how close that match ended up being. It ended up being a 30-second match, but it all came down to that one spreader. And I'm telling you, if Skawttie does not get that spreader at the door, I do think we're tied at 1. I honestly do.
Yeah, I mean, that spreader, if you don't get that spreader, you definitely have to go through at least 1 to 2 more drops to finish off Mutoid Man. And I mean, you've seen how many empty drops there have been. It can be a huge swing.
All right, I've turned both runners loose for game number 3, and we should be started shortly. This very well could be your last match tonight, CHX, because Jacobus will be joining me in the booth for match number 4. So this could be good night for tonight.
Yeah, we'll see, but hopefully we got a good game here. We see some more races because MrEntity's not just going to go out without a fight.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, MrEntity has definitely put in the work here. You know, again, he does have a sub 7, again, not posted on speed run. So Let's see if we can get ourselves a game number 4 here. Both of them have the Razor Shield again. Different tactics from both runners. Skawttie doing the traditional method. MrEntity going for a more aggressive approach. I mean, take it as you will. It is going to be MrEntity again with the hole shot.
Yeah, MrEntity's been doing a good job of using that Razor Shield to just clear out these guys. I mean, it's been working for him, so he's been sticking with it.
Yeah, whatever method works for you, no matter how unorthodox it might work, if it works for you, keep on using it. A 2.5 lead is what MrEntity has. Opening drop, an orb. Now can MrEntity, and an orb for Skawttie, equal opportunity.
Their games are just giving up orbs left and right tonight for these two.
It's almost like they're on a clearance sale, I'm telling you. But
Now some Rockets.
Big time drop here for Skawttie. Invulnerability for MrEntity, nothing to write home about. Another invulnerability. Now a smart bomb for Skawttie. Could be able to close out the room. Doesn't need it though. With those rockets, he just needed that.
Yeah, like when you have the firing lanes and you have those rockets, you're just able to take out so many guys. It's just a clear advantage. But he did have a little trouble clearing up these shrapnels at the beginning of the room. Let's see how Entity handles it.
Yeah, he had no weapon, but yeah, he did a much better job this time. But watch, oh, the swirl picked him off. Oh no. Razor shield.
Yeah, as long as he can pick up another orb in this room, won't lose really time on that. I think he was able to clean up the guys fast enough.
Yeah, certainly he did. So, yeah, that swirl, unfortunately, could be a problem. And he is going to get a replacement. Good patience there from MrEntity, not wanting to swing that orb towards the door and lose his orb again. That was very good on his part right there. And but unfortunately, the shrapnel's got a little bit out of control, so he's going to lose some time. Skawttie's still in the lead into total carnage. MrEntity still right there.
Yeah, I think he kind of just decided that he wanted to make sure he had that orb, so he was able to just do a trade for some time there, play it safe, keep it in his hands.
Well, good. A Razor Shield for MrEntity. He'll be able to take control of the middle of the room. And he gets a Smart Bomb on his feet, so not bad at all. Skawttie not really getting some weapons. Invulnerability, again, nothing to write home about. And now Vitamin R, the rockets for MrEntity. He's getting some great drops here. Is he going to use the Smart Bomb? He's not going to use it. Again, I probably would have, considering he was out of rockets at that point. But does get a spreader. Now rockets for Skawttie. So he's going to be out of this room first with the 3-0-9.
Yeah, you can just see how much more dancing around Skawttie had to do to maintain the center. He did a good job, though, and was able to keep the time.
Meanwhile, I would pick up that good use of that Smart Bomb. Not quite the end of the room, but that was still a really good use of the Smart Bomb. He was starting to get overwhelmed. MrEntity with the 3:27 will find himself 18 seconds back.
As long as you pick up that Smart Bomb and you don't pick it up too early and no more shrapnels appear, it's usually a pretty good move if you have a couple on the screen.
Certainly indeed, as Skawttie now gets a dude as his opening drop in a horrific location. But then follows it up with rockets with one gunner down. Both are down, but then the shrapnel picks him off!
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He had just cleared everything out of his way. He was trying to make it back to center, but the game didn't want to let him get there.
Tough break. A spreader to open for MrEntity. Now a chance to take out the second gunner from top. Gets him down. Now can he get control of the center again? There's a dude. Doesn't want to see that. But rockets now for Skawttie. And MrEntity is still being pinned to that top left corner, but he does have the orb still healthy. Tank is down. Can he get back? Can he get a good weapon? He's not getting anything as Skawttie continues to pound rockets home, even without the orb. And he's going to be first in the Muto, man, with 432.
Yeah, MrEntity was dancing around trying to keep that orb. He had the tank messing with him at the same time. And I mean, he was able to keep it, but it's going to still bleed time when you're doing this much dancing around.
Yeah, absolutely. But I must say, he's done some really good dancing to keep that orb healthy. I mean, really, really good. This is probably his best tank trouble of the match so far. A Razor Shield at the end. Going to lose the orb at the very end, but that's not really going to hurt him.
Yeah, he definitely did a good job of dancing and keeping the orb for sure.
5:02, and now lobbers for Skawttie here as the first arm pops off. More lobbers. Right now, MrEntity is looking for that spreader. And Instead, gets an invulnerability. Boy, you hate to see that. Spreader for Skawttie, and not the greatest of locations. He's going to have to do manual here. Let's see how he does. Not really landing any shots, though, so he's gonna switch to lobbers. That tactic wasn't working out for him.
Still wasn't really a bad decision, though, since it was under mutoid. He probably didn't see how long it spawned, so he just, instead of risking it, just went to grab it.
Yeah, definitely not a bad play at all, but Entity needs a spreader. He needs it now because Skottie's on the third to last form. He
And
does
there
get a
it
spreader,
is.
but can he get to it? That's a dicey proposition. He will get to it. So here's a chance for Entity, but it's penultimate form. There's
Another spreader.
one, but he won't be able to get to this one.
No, this is going to disappear too soon.
But if he gets another one, that could help. Instead, whatever it is, he's parked on it.
Skottie's on bottle form on the other side already.
I tell you what, Skawttie is in the zone right now. He's not going to get a PB. Oh, he got run over there. Another spreader for Entity. He's going to have to try for manuals if an invulnerability comes out. But the empty drop's continuing for Skawttie, so it's not. And another invulnerability. It's not quite over yet, but
he's going to need a lot of empty drops, though. I mean, we're still about 2 forms back.
Yeah, and this lobber's going to do it. Spreader for Skawttie. He won't need it, though. This game is over, and Skawttie moves on to the second round of the bonus bracket, and unfortunately, this will mean the end of the tournament for MrEntity, and then, to add insult to injury, gets shrapneled.
Yeah, he did his best. You know, he did a good job of this run with tank trouble, trying to stay in there, but, you know, he just wasn't able to keep up with all the RNG and Skawttie just taking advantage of it and doing good play.
Absolutely, yeah. And Skawttie, yeah, Mutoid Man, the RNG favoring the favorites here. It's not like that MrEntity didn't get spreaders because he did have a couple of spreaders. It's just Skottie's spreaders were in much more prime locations.
Yeah, he was able to just take them and capitalize on them. He got out to a command lead, and, you know, it was just too much for him to come back from, but he put up a good effort, and it was a good race.
Yeah, 7:37 ends up being his time. So the common theme with all of our runners is that they all lowered their times at each race, which is something you definitely like to see. But unfortunately for you guys, there have been they've all been sweet, so they've been quick. But maybe the next one, this will change.